Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call to order the February 9th, 2021 Carpenter Unified School District Board meeting. Andy, can I get a roll call, please?
All right. Jamie Bray.
Here.
Jamie Dimon.
Here.
Aaron.
Here.
Sally.
Here.
And I'm here.
Great, thank you, Andy. And we'll begin with the flag salute. Everybody, please rise. Do we have a flag today? I guess we should start with that.
I have it, but you won't see it.
All right, everybody pretend. Ready? Begin.
I
pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, to item B2, the approval of the minutes from our last regular board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion or comments on the prior board meeting agenda minutes? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And to B3, the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, you're right, Andy. Roll call.
Jamie Bray.
Aye.
Jamie Dimon.
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
Sally.
Yes, aye.
And I'm aye.
That was so exciting, Sally. Okay. On to item D1, the student representative report. I believe we have Fatima here for tonight.
Yes. Okay. Carpinteria High School continues to be in a distance learning model and will finish the 6-week grading period on February 19th, 2021. Students should work with their teachers how to turn in any missing assignments before the grading period ends. Next week, CHS counselors will be visiting CMS to register current 8th graders as they prepare to move to CHS in the fall. Students will be able to select their courses and ask questions about CHS. Parents of incoming 9th grade students will be invited to an information night on February 17th and 18th. A parent square invitation will be sent to their accounts this week. On January 21st, 2021, CHS Virtual Enterprise participated in the 2021 Winter Western Region Online Trade Show and earned recognition by placing in the top 15 VE firms for sales materials. Congratulations to CHS VE for representing CHS and earning high hopes. Finally, on February 24th, 2021, CHS ASB will be hosting a virtual rally for all students. We have been planning for many days, and it promises to be a great rally full of school spirit. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fatima.
Along to agenda item D2, superintendent report.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'd like to begin with appreciation. I'd like to recognize our school nurses, elementary school office staff, and the elementary principals for their careful monitoring of the COVID-19 cases and the close contacts, as well as student attendance, quarantine timelines, parent communication, staff notification, and coordination with the Santa Barbara County Public Health. This new responsibility consumes a majority of their time, yet they still manage to complete their regular tasks. We are really fortunate to work with these incredible colleagues who are keeping campuses safe and healthy for all of us. The next item is related to the COVID-19 vaccines for educators. Public Health School Liaison Susan K. Rothschild reported that the vaccine supply is very limited in Santa Barbara County, and she really can't predict the timeline for vaccine availability for educators. It was also reported that Governor Newsom has contracted with Blue Shield of California to allocate the state's COVID vaccine. Blue Shield will develop and manage a network of providers to distribute and administer vaccines at numerous venues statewide, including mobile clinics, major vaccination sites, and homes of at-risk residents. Meanwhile, we continue to advocate for vaccination priority for educators and childcare workers. and the Santa Barbara County Superintendents, representing 26 districts, sent a letter to Governor Newsom requesting priority vaccinations for this critical group of public servants. The latest information, however, that I received today is a little bit more hopeful in that it looks like that our educators will be vaccinated during the month of March. The next item is the K registration for 21-22.
You have to go.
Aliso will offer a dual language immersion kindergarten classroom for fall 2021, and that meets our district goal number 4. Aliso kindergarten and grade 1 staff have been collaborating with the Canalino DLI teachers to develop their program. Incoming K families will now have access to the DLI program at their home school. If a lottery is necessary at Canalino and Aliso, it will be held April 1st. Carpinteria Family School will remain as a choice for kindergarten families, and there will be 12 slots. We have scheduled a TKK information Zoom meeting on Thursday, March 4th, 5:30 p.m. for English and 6:30 p.m. for Spanish. Beginning March 1st, parents will be able to access the Aries online enrollment website from CUSD. The next item is regarding professional development. During our staff meetings this year, all teachers participated in Dr. Trudy Arriaga's Opening Doors for Diversity, Equity, and Access workshop that the leadership team had already completed in August. Designed to address professional practices through the lens of equity and access, this workshop provided colleagues with a deeper understanding of the cultural proficiency framework. Our goal is to create schools where more students across more differences are more engaged and successful more of the time. In addition, the AHA professional staff is facilitating 5 workshop sessions with both CMS and CHS staff on the following issues: LGBTQ, ableism, sexism, racism, and immigration. And all of these activities, again, meet district goal number 4. The next item is our CHS Student Athlete of the Year. CHS Athletic Director Pat Cooney announced the following. Carpinteria High School Athletics proudly announces that Kenna Mayer has been selected Santa Barbara Athletic Roundtable Student Athlete of the Year. She was selected by the Warrior coaching staff from a stellar group of nominees from the class of 2021. Mayer stars on the girls' soccer and softball teams while performing as an integral part of the cheer squad. She is a leader on campus, and she carries a 4.06 GPA through a rigorous course load while always supporting her fellow students and teachers. Kenna Mayer personifies warrior spirit. The Student Athlete of the Year Award is sponsored by the Gambardella Spruill Group of Merrill Lynch in Santa Barbara. This prestigious and highly competitive award is given to a senior that has excelled on the field and in the classroom. The award presentation will be recorded on Wednesday, February 3rd, and then released to the media and posted on NewsHawk. In addition, I'd like to announce that Carpinteria High School athletics will begin during the week of February 16th for swimming, tennis, track and field, golf, softball, and baseball, all the sports that are permitted in the purple tier and red tier. On Wednesday, February 17th at 6 p.m., CHS will host a parent virtual information night for all parents of student athletes. And then the last items is regarding Measure U. Modernization of the CHS gym is now 90% complete, and it is anticipated to be fully completed by the end of March. Plans for the new CHS administration building have been submitted to DSA, and construction is anticipated to begin this summer. The Summerlin project should be heard by the Planning Commission by the end of March, and concurrent with this process, the architects will submit plans to DSA on February 22nd for review. Construction for Summerlin is planned beginning September 21. And then planning for phase 3 modernization at Aliso will also begin in summer of 2021. And all of these activities meet district goal number 6. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Diana. Okay, for agenda item D3, we have a special presentation tonight for the board. We have Anthony Hernandez here. He graduated from CHS in 2005. and attended USC. Last December 2020, a new product named Moxie was showcased by Time Magazine as one of the top innovations of 2020. Anthony Harris was a collaborator in this innovative product that will soon be on the market. A Moxie created by Embodied, Pixar, Jim Henson Productions, and experts in education and child development, is a robot designed to help boost the social and emotional skills of 5 to 10-year-old kids. In Moxie, children find a compassionate pal who encourages reading and drawing and sends them on missions meant to spur engagement with adults, siblings, and peers, such as writing kind notes for their family to find or talking to a friend about feelings. Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, and before Anthony begins, Mr. Concejo is here tonight, and I'd like to ask him to introduce Anthony as well.
Great.
Thank you, Gerardo.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to always introduce alumni of Carpentry High School and how they go on to do great things. It is very refreshing to get letters from students along the way of updating us what they've been doing. A couple of weeks ago, Anthony took the time to write a letter to Carpentry High School, thanking us for the great opportunities that we were able to give him as a student at Carpentry High School. And he also gave us a little bit of an insight on what he had been doing over the last couple of years. 2 or 3 years ago, if I remember, Anthony was our keynote speaker at our academic awards night, where he was very eloquent in the message that he gave to our students. Over the last couple of years, he went to USC and then ultimately ended up in where he works now as an Embodied company, which is located in Pasadena. And they are coming out with a product called Moxie. Moxie is a artificial intelligence robot that helps and supports students learning how to be kind and how to be good citizens. So I would like to first also showcase the fact that, when I got the yellow envelope with Anthony's letter, I saw that he had sent the Time Magazine. And I did not realize until I read the letter and I read more on why he had signed his name under next to Moxie. So I would like to introduce Anthony to tell us a little bit about what he has done as a alumni of Carpentry High School, and hope as we move forward that this becomes more of a common thing that we do to showcase what our alumni do. And then tell us a little bit about Moxie and how he was involved in the project. So welcome, Anthony.
Well, thank you, Mr. Concejo, always for the kind words. I remember actually when I had graduated the high school, during the graduation, after I had walked across the stage on the field and got my diploma holder. And then at the end, Mr. Concejo was there and I shook his hand and we took a photo. And I remember after we took the photo, he said to me that there would always be an invitation waiting for me. And that's been true ever since. He's invited me back multiple times and it's very happy to always come back like today. So I wanted to talk today to you all about just my journey from Carpentry High School to where I am today, and some things that happened along the way, and some stuff that I experienced at the high school that really impacted me and got me to where I am today. And I realized that there's a lot of things that I can talk about. There was really a lot that the high school had to give me. But there's one experience in particular that I think played a really important role in where I am right now. And that experience came to me my junior year at the high school. I remember I had gone to speak with the counselor for a routine kind of planning my schedule for my senior year. And as I was leaving the counselor's office, as I walked out the door, I noticed on the door there was a poster for a program called Summer at USC, which was a summer program for high school students. It was a program that high school students could apply to attend USC for the summer. And as I walked out, I took note of it and I was like, oh, that's something interesting, maybe something to look into. And one thing that really caught my eye of the poster was there's a list of all different classes you can take. And one of them was a game design class. And I was really into technology and programming and video game design. And I had actually told my parents when I was 13 that I walked into their room and I said, I want to be a video game developer when I grow up. And that was like, from then on, I did a lot of things to try to get myself on that path. And this looked like the perfect thing for me. So later that night, I sent an application in, and I actually got an acceptance the very next day, because the applications for this program were they were reviewed on a rolling basis, and it just happened that they looked at my application the next day, and it stood out, so they sent me an acceptance, which is really cool. And the experience that I had there over the summer really, I think, changed my life. As a student at Carpenter High School, I knew that I was a good student, but I didn't know that I had what it took to go to such a prestigious school as USC. No one in my family had gone to a four-year university. I would have been first generation. I was the oldest of my siblings, and there's all sorts of doubts that I had, like acceptance rates are really low, it costs a lot of money, like everything. I felt like a lot of things were stacked against me. But going to that summer program really validated in me that I had what it took, and it was a really fun experience. I got to live in the dorms. I got to take classes that were actual USC classes. I got to study under professors that were actual USC professors, and I really just got a taste of the whole USC experience. And I remember when I left that summer, I felt this fear in my heart as we were leaving, as I moved out of the dorms and we were pulling out of the parking lot. And that fear was, what if I never come back here? Like, what if I never come back to a place like this? And that fear really drove me my senior year of high school. So I went there the summer between my junior and senior year. My senior year, I worked relentlessly to make sure that that fear of not going back to USC was not something that I would have to live with. And I looked for opportunities all over campus, and where there weren't opportunities, I made them for myself. So like an example was I started a video game production club on campus, which was really cool and really rewarding. I got to meet people on campus that shared similar interests as me. I got to hone my skills in programming and video game design alongside my peers. And it was just a lot of fun. We actually also started a company after graduation based on our experiences in the club. And we did also have our own office for a time that we worked out of, which was really cool. Another thing that happened during my senior year was I started to really notice how the relationships that I had with students on campus and also teachers would really benefit me. And I started seeing teachers on campus and faculty as resources to help me get to where I wanted to go. And one of those, of course, was Mr. Concejo. I would go into his office, not for bad things like some kids do, but for very good things. He would talk to me about, to reward me on stuff that I was doing, and also my relationships with other teachers. I know Mr. Smith I had a really good relationship with, and he was one of the first teachers that really asked me about what I wanted to do after high school. And I still talk to him today, and I still ask him for advice on stuff, and he still advises me and stuff, which I think is really cool. So that was my senior year. It was all about working hard to go back to USC and really reaping the rewards of my work and the relationships that I had access to at Carpenter High School. So I sent an application to USC, and there was a lot of stress, wondering, oh, am I going to get in? I went to the summer program. It's not a guarantee if you go to the summer program. That's one thing that they're very upfront with you about. But I did get accepted, so there was this big wave of relief, and I was able to attend USC. And not only that, but that summer program that I went to gave me a big advantage. Not only did I know the campus and the rigor of a USC education, but I also I had connections on campus. I knew professors and I knew other students. And this really helped me a lot. Like I said, at the high school, I started to see teachers and other students as resources to help me become the best that I can be. I continued that at USC. I went to one of the first things I did was I went to the professor's offices that taught me in the summer program. I went in with a notebook with a list of questions that I planned before, and I just fired away at them. And basically all those questions were meant to help me get the best out of my 4 years. They're all about, all right, what do I need to do as a freshman? What do I need to do as a sophomore? What do I need to do? Like, what can I be doing in the summer to help me get to where I want to be? And these professors really recognized a quality in me that they didn't see in a lot of students. I had this drive and this really real determination, and they recognized that, and they rewarded me with it by hiring me as a teaching assistant as early as my freshman year, which is really rare, almost unheard of, but it was really cool to be able to be by them in the classrooms, and not only to be a student for them, but also be like a peer alongside them at the very front of the class. One of these professors actually, my junior year, stopped teaching at USC. She decided that she no longer wanted to be a professor, but that she wanted to go back and get a job in the industry. And she ended up getting a job at Embodied. And this professor, we maintained, we were in very close contact still after she had left USC. And I actually invited her to I had a graduation party. I invited her, and I invited her to a lot of other events that I had after I graduated and on campus my senior year. And then after I graduated, a couple of months afterwards, she sent me a text. She said, hey, this company that I work for, Embodied, we're hiring people, and I really think you'd be a good fit. Would you be interested? And I just right away, I said, where do I sign up? Like, what do I have to do? And I sent an application. I went through, it's a very rigorous interview process at Embodied, but because I'd been referred by someone in the company already, it was a lot faster for me, not less rigorous, but faster. And then I ended up finding out at the end of this process that I got a job offer. So I accepted the offer, and that's where I am today. My role at Embodied is junior performance designer. I was hired to work on the programming for the way that Moxie, our robot, which is designed to promote social and emotional learning in children, I was hired to program the way that the robot speaks and the way that it moves to make it look natural, not so much robotic, but more like something that you would see in a Pixar movie. Since then, we've kind of automated the process, the way that that's handled, but there's still a lot of work to be done at Embodied. So I get to work now on content design and development, which means working on any of the activities that children can do with Moxie. So in a given week, I could go from writing bedtime stories for Moxie to read to children to making games for Moxie to play with kids, like Simon Says, or anything like Pictionary or something like that. So that's what I do at Embodied. It's a very dynamic workplace and made up of talented individuals that I consider myself very lucky to be a part of. And I really don't think that I would have made it here if it wasn't for that day that I walked into the counselor's office and saw that poster and was inspired to send the application in. And that really just sent me on this course that I've been on ever since. And that I think that I wouldn't have done it any other way. I'm very grateful for it, grateful for seeing that, and grateful for the teachers at Carpenter High School and everyone else that helped me along the way from Carpenter High School to USC and now to Embodied. So thank you so much. That's my story. Yeah, if anyone if there's anything else that you'd like me to share, any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So Anthony, the Moxie interacts with the student and it learns from the student as it progresses over time, correct?
Yes, so the idea is we kind of created this fictional universe that Moxie comes from. Moxie is a robot ambassador from this place called the Global Robotics Laboratory that is on this mission to teach robots to be good friends to humans so that we don't end up with a future like you read about in science fiction books where robots take over the world and make humanity go extinct or something. But yeah, so Moxie's a robot ambassador, and Moxie's on a mission to learn to be a good friend to humans. And so we kind of communicate it as you're teaching Moxie to be a good friend to humans, but really this relationship is twofold. Through teaching Moxie to be a good friend to humans, you are learning yourself also to be a good person to society. So that's kind of the narrative that we're telling with Moxie.
Well, Anthony, we're so proud of you. You represent the very best of our CHS alumni. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And please know that if you need to try out Moxie, we have plenty of young students in our elementary schools that would love to play with Moxie.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Anthony.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
I wish I had that much drive coming out of high school. So congratulations, that's awesome. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to item D3. We have our nope. Where are we at? D4, sorry. We have a presentation from Michael Baker, who's the CEO of the United Boys and Girls Club of Santa Barbara County, who will be presenting an update on the distance learning support for Carpinteria members.
So I wanted to take the moment to thank Michael. Michael is an incredible leader of youth in our county and works with many, many school districts in Santa Barbara County. And he's a really important partner for us. And it's really critical right now because during distance learning, Michael and Don Hall at the Carpinteria Boys and Girls Club, they offer support for our students and families when they are learning remotely the 3 days a week. And we could not do it without Michael and his staff. So Michael, thank you so much for all that you do for all the students and families in Santa Barbara County, and particularly in Carpinteria. And I'll forgive you that you're a New Yorker.
But Diana, I'm a New Yorker that likes the Red Sox.
I know. So you're okay.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So
welcome.
Thank you very much. And honestly, the credit that shouldn't really go to me at all. It really should go to the staff that are working. As you know, we've got a great club director in Don Hall at the Carp Club, but we've got 5 others that are just as talented as Don that really make where the rubber meets the road. But following Anthony, wow, that's a tough act to follow, Anthony. Very, very, very impressive. Incredible. Anyways, I just wanted to start off by saying, first of all, thank you for the kind words, and we're very, very honored to be working with not only the other school districts in the county, but specifically the Carpinteria Unified School District. And the reason we are, I'm not saying it because you said kind words about me, but I'm saying this from the heart that you've got the best superintendent. She's just the best. She's fantastic. And there's it's very, very rare that I hear no from her when it comes to, hey, can we make this happen? Absolutely. If it's in the best interest of the students and helping our, let's make it, let's do what we got to do. That's the kind of attitude I love working with people like that. That's just fantastic. So Diana, thank you for your leadership as well. I want to highlight something that, you talked about alumni from Carpinteria to United Boys and Girls Clubs. We actually have 2 alums from Carp High. And one is Mr. Ben Scott, who works with Montecito Bank and Trust, a significant supporter of the Boys and Girls Clubs. And our current board chair, the chairman of the board, is an alum of Carpinteria High School, and that's Tony Vallejo, who is actually our board chair, does a great, he's the best board president I've ever had. It's fantastic. But just as a quick aside, we have partnered quite a bit with Girls Inc. of Carpinteria over the years, and we've had externs come to our clubs, and we had an extern from Carp High, and I warned her. I said, listen, when you get ready to present to the board, and she got up to speak to the board, as soon as she stood up there, both Ben, she goes, I'm a sophomore at Carp High School. As soon as she said that, both Ben and Tony go, Warriors! Like, she just was blown away. She was like, oh, I tried to warn you. I told you they were going to do that. I knew they would do that. But in line with the distance learning, as you may be aware, we started because of United Way. United Way helped significantly with help allowing us to open our club to serve kids at highest need children. We have, I believe it's 67 scholarships awarded to us for Carpenter Unified School District students that are high need. And we're averaging right now in the 50s, kids coming, about 50, 55 kids, depending on the day. And they're coming full day. They're coming from 7:30 in the morning, and a lot of them are staying until 6 o'clock at night. Now, the reason that's working so well is because not only were we able to work a deal out with the United Way to help us for the school day, but that afternoon, because of Paul and Jane Orfala and the Audacious Foundation, they gave us funding to help us keep kids at the Boys and Girls Club in the afternoon and keep them engaged, not only helping support academics, but physical fitness, keep getting them moving. So we're very happy with that. It's been going very well. One group of people that never get enough recognition in the school district that are near and dear to my heart, because I was, and Diana's heard me tell this story many times, but it's truthful. I was one of those kids that when I was growing up, I had the card that got me breakfast and lunch at schools. And if it wasn't for that program, I wasn't eating. That's just a fact. I grew up poor. We didn't have the means. And there's a lot of kids that come to our club. We're about 85% of our members are free reduced lunch. And if it wasn't for the Carp cafeteria staff, our kids wouldn't have lunch at the club. So I want to thank you for that. Please, Diana, give them a big socially distant high five, if you will, thanking them for everything that they've done for our kids as well. To date, we've given away in scholarships just at carpentry alone. We've given away $114,710 in scholarships for distance learning, and of that, $72,500 has come from United Way. United Way's helped us with funding to help with that. The difference we've raised through United Boys and Girls Club's efforts, and to cover the gap for those kids. We're very, very proud of that. It's working very well. On any given day, you'll be able to walk in, and you're certainly, as long as you come in and get checked and go through the checkup that we do before you come in, you'll be able to see. If you wanted to get it, I can give you a tour, but we have to keep it under absolute control. You can see the kids in the rooms. We have them in pods of 14. We typically will have 3 to 4 pods going at once. Wednesday's the day where it all converges because everybody's out of, I believe that's the day in Carp, because each district's a little different, but I believe Carpentry is Wednesday, the day that all kids are doing distance learning. So we have quite a busy day on Wednesdays. The thing I'm really excited to report to you is that starting March 6th, and Diana deserves a lot of credit for this because she was the first district to say, we're in, let us know what we can do to help. We realized, I see it every one of our clubs that I walk into, our kids are doing distance learning. I see them on their Zoom sessions, and the teachers, God bless them, because they're doing the best they can to keep these kids engaged, and they're working wonders without having actual, direct contact with the kids. So these students are doing as best as they can with the situation they're in. And unfortunately, as we all know, across the county with all the reporting, there's still a lot of kids that are falling behind. And that's why we're starting on Saturdays. We're going to be opening on Saturdays, specifically just for education. For 2 hours, 2.5 hours, we'll be open from 10 to 12:30. And we'll be doing 2 hours of intense intervention, one-on-one as necessary, but we'll have the kids in pods of 14. And we're using the Freckle program, which we've used at different clubs, and some districts are using it as well. But we'll also have volunteers that are coming in that are going to be reading and working on primarily, which is a huge emphasis for Diana, the whole reading skills for the children is a huge issue. We want to make sure we're helping kids with that. So that's something we're going to be focusing on. That's going to start March 6th, and it's going to run every Saturday from March 6th all the way through the end of the school year. We've received funding to help us do that. And I'm very excited to report that to everybody. So we've got districts now already starting to identify the highest need: 14 first graders, 14 second graders, 14 third graders, 14 fourth graders, up to fifth grade. So we're taking first through fifth graders, the highest 14 needed kids in each district, and really getting them and getting the parent buy-in, getting them at the Boys and Girls Club, and surrounding them and helping them. Hopefully, our goal with not only what we're doing for the remainder of the school year, but then the summertime, we're going to run that program as well. And hopefully we'll get a lot of those kids that by the time they go to normal school again, hopefully in the fall, they'll be up to grade level, at least to grade level, if not ahead. That's our goal. We want to help. We want to help that gap. We know we have an important job to do to help the districts. That's a big part of our job, is to do whatever we can to help the kids succeed in life. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but very, very, very happy with the relationship with the Carp School District. Again, your folks are they're just rock solid, and that comes from the top down, I should say. Top down is just fantastic. So thank you, Diane, and your whole leadership team.
Michael, it's Sally. I just want to say congratulations, because it is so quiet over there. I sometimes wonder if there's anybody there. So I know those kids are working hard on a daily basis, and I know the district, on behalf of the district, congrats for all that you're doing over there, because it's amazing.
Well, thank you, and it is quiet, which is
it is quiet.
Yeah, in a school set, I've been working with Boys and Girls Clubs 33 years, and walking into a Boys and Girls Club is usually very noisy. And walking into a club, and it's almost like a library setting. It's very quiet. I certainly, I'll take that quietness that we have now over what we had from March to June, when we didn't have anybody in the building because we couldn't have kids in the building. That was not enjoyable at all.
Well, as an alumnus of the loud and rowdy days at Carpentry Boys Club, I just want to give you a big congratulations and thank you for this, because it is making a difference. And Ben and Tony, look what they've accomplished, and they were both products of that as well. And there's a whole bunch of people who've come through the Boys and Girls Club that have gone on to accomplish really tremendous things. So I think this program's only gonna increase that number.
Thank you, Andy, for the kind words. And I did not know that you're an alum. That's good to know.
Yeah, I think we were. I think I was. I can't remember the name of the little subgroup, but I was one of the charter members of. I can't remember the name of it, but it was me, Brian Remington, Ruben Zertucci, and myself.
It's great. This is great. The final thing I'll say, just real quick, I know you got to get back to the meeting. You don't want to keep hearing from me, but of all the clubs I walk into, and I think I said this to Diana before when we gave a tour, I love walking into the Carp Club, because the Carp Club is a prototypical Boys and Girls Club design that you don't see anymore. I mean, very rarely do you see them. But it was built but almost any club that was built in the 60s had that exact same design all over the country. A lot of them have been, demolished, destroyed. But when first time I walked into the Carp Club, it felt like I was, I can only imagine what would feel like for you, Diane, if you walk back into the first classroom you ever taught in. You'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this. This feels good. That was the feeling for me. And I still love walking into that club. That club I still get chills when I walk into that club because of the history. So thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I just want to say, as much as you said, when you ask Diana about something and she rarely says no if it's for the kids, I have to say the same for you guys. And you're always stepping up to the plate. Dawn, everybody there steps up to the plate to help our kids here in Carp. So thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you. I will share all the kind words. I'll give it all the praise to Don and the staff, because I can sit there and promise things all day long, but they're the ones that deliver it. They're the ones that make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to public comment. I do not believe we have any tonight, correct, Monica?
Correct. We do not have any public comments.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. On to E1, Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 113, District and School Websites Community Relationship. We have the second reading of this board policy. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Is there any questions or comment on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any nays? Thank you. E2 is Board Policy 3280, which is a sale or lease of district-owned real property. Also the second reading. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, E3, Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 3530, Risk Management and Insurance. The second reading of this item. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, none for educational services. We'll move right on to G1 warrants. We're being asked to approve the warrants for the period of January 22nd, 2021 through February 4th, 2021 in the amount of $1,813,678.37. These warrants are issued once a week on Thursdays. The report format shows check number, check date, payee, brief account description, payment, comment, and check amount. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, G2A is a donation from the Carpinteria Education Foundation to CUSD. This donation is the amount of $15,000, and this will be used for science kits for the Carpinteria Middle School and Carpinteria High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Thank you, CEF.
Thank you,
Oh,
CEF.
it's actually thank you,
Always.
Chevron.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chevron.
We have another one here. Looks like a donation from Chevron through Carpinteria Education Foundation to Carpinteria Unified School District. This is another $10,000 to be used for science materials district-wide for merge cubes and any related expenses. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve with gratitude.
I second that and praise Pam Warner for working so closely with Chevron. Thank you, Pam.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thanks, Pam.
All right. All those in favor of this donation?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, G3 is the Carpinteria Unified School District Governance Team Protocols for 2021. So we are first reading. We are being asked to approve the first reading of the governance team protocols. The Carpinteria Unified School District is governed by a board, not by individual board members. While understanding our separate roles, the board and superintendent work together as a governance team. This team assumes collective responsibility for creating a positive organizational culture in order to govern efficiently. And this is based on our meeting we had about 2 weeks ago, or was it just last week? So can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
Is there any comments on this one or items anybody needs to address? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, G4, the board is being asked to approve the contract with DUDEC for the land use entitlement assistance to the County of Santa Barbara for the Summerlin Elementary School's new tennis court project. The professional fee services of $7,350, and we'll be using funds donated by the Manitou Foundation. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
G5, the board is being asked to approve the contract with Kruger, Bitson, Ziemer Architects for professional architectural design services for the Summerlin Elementary School new tennis court project. This professional fee for $56,870 will also be paid for by donated funds from the Manitou Foundation. You get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Second. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G6 is the 2021 budget development presentation. And we got Maureen Fitzgerald here to give us a little presentation. Or do we? We don't.
What happened to Maureen? Oh, here she is. Here she comes back.
Caught her.
She thought she
What
was
happened? There you are.
My whole computer just made a loud, like, plane crash noise and disappeared. So I'm like, okay, we're back.
So should we be looking at the attachment that Monica sent to us rather than the one that was on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm sharing the screen, Maureen.
Okay. I have to reopen everything. Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Back in business. Okay, so this will be our first look at the 21-22 budget. And so we'll go through some slides that are very routine, and you then get into the first interim data and then the projections for 21-22. So diving right in, we start with our mission. We always start with our mission. I don't need to read it. It's the same that's in all of the slide presentations. And then our core values: academic achievement, respectful community, continuous improvement. And boy, have we practiced that this past year. District goals, again, I think it's, you make goals and you make mission statements, and you need a pandemic to really make them feel like they have meat to them, and it's been challenging, and I think that they're commendable goals, and we've really risen above the whole district staff. Our budgeting principles, it is student-centered. We have a budget that is driven towards supporting the classroom at all levels. And I think that resonates not only in the budget design, but in all of the things that we are targeting as far as expenses. I'm just putting a reminder that we have a board policy that talks about our fund balance. It's the intent to maintain a 10% reserve. That's not an easy thing to do. It has not been an easy thing in the past, many years for the district, but that nonetheless is a board goal. The budget development timeline has been a little bit different, because we're not in person. We do our monthly budget updates. We are discussing the budget regularly in our leadership team meetings. The site principals then go back to their team meetings with their staff, and it's all conducted via Zoom. We can't wait for the day this is in person again. This is more of a visual timeline. One thing that I took off here is the LCAP. I don't know what's going on with the LCAP. I took it off because it's a stress point. But we probably will have the LCAP coming into the adoption. They haven't said anything to the contrary, whether we'll have another continuity plan or a full LCAP. So that's something in the back of our minds. And then for the new board members, what typically happens is on or before January 15th, the governor releases his budget for the next year. After he releases the budget, it goes to the Department of Finance and the legislative body, and each of them do an analysis. And each of them weigh in on the governor's budget and have their own proposal based on differences that they may find in technicalities or costs. And then from there, they kind of go through the political motion, and then in May, on or before May 15th, the governor proposes what they call a May revision, meaning the property tax revenues from April came in, they update revenue assumptions, they update all the other state assumptions, and they change the projection. They change the 2021 projected budget. And then the legislature has June 15th is a deadline. If the budget does not get passed by June 15th, there are monetary penalties to the actual legislatures themselves. So for the past many years, the budget's always passed by June 15th. They hold their own internal hearings, and then we in turn have to adopt it by June 30th. I'm going to jump right into some of the assumptions in the January's budget proposal. It's a very odd year. I mean, why wouldn't it be? So one of the things that we were talking about almost a year ago at the onset of COVID was the uncertainty of state income and state revenues due to the pandemic. Would property taxes drop like in the recession? Would sales tax drop because people were unemployed or out of work? All of those assumptions drove our projections that we talked about when we adopted the budget and then when we revised the budget. Consequently, the revenues didn't drop. They had lots of surplus revenues, which were higher than projected. So the state is projecting for the LCFF districts, those local control funding formula districts, a 3.84 COLA, which is the highest I've seen in several years. And because CUSD is what they call locally funded or basic aid, we are fully funded on property taxes. We receive all of our property taxes and we keep everything above what our LCFF calculation would be. Our property tax projection is 5.23%. So this is like a side-by-side to show that we continue to outpace state-funded LCFF and COLA. That's an important factor when we start looking at the big picture. Pension rate increases have been a hot topic for
ridiculous
many years now. I mean, it's pulling in on a decade, I think. And you can see just in the, I kind of drop off some old years because it gets a little ridiculous. But just since 17-18, you can see the trajectory of increases for CalPERS and CalSTRS. Interestingly enough, the difference with these two, and you can see on CalSTRS beginning in the current year, 2021, it went down, and it's proposed to go down again in 21-22 when it was proposed on an increased trajectory every year. So the state is buying down, or they're using the surplus revenues to offset the increase in CalSTRS. CalPERS, however, that's not the case. CalPERS rates are set by the CalPERS board and are not contingent on state revenues. So it's contingent on invested earnings. So they are not giving any moratorium or relief in that increase. And you can see it's getting kind of ridiculous. The bottom graph shows total statutory benefits for classified and certificated. The difference is that classified pay into PERS and OSDI. Teachers only pay into STRS, Medicare, unemployment workers' comp. So there is a difference, but with the classified going into 21-22, it's nearly a 32% cost of benefits to salary. So 32 cents on the dollar just to pay statutory benefits. It's getting quite crazy. This is a good kind of visual. This is a cost of sample cost of district positions. Again, the same chart that shows the cost of statutories. And it shows you for a 6-hour aide, the salary for a 6-hour aide, 180 days is just under $23,000. That's an average. The statutory benefits cost $7,300. The health and welfare, almost $16,000. So their benefits combined are more than their salary for a total cost of $46,000. A custodian would be a little bit different. Average cost just under $50,000. Statutory benefits $15,870 plus 21 for a total cost to the district of $86,700. And then a teacher, that's an average cost, costing the district $110,185. And then below it shows our lowest paid teacher. That's an entry-level teacher. And then our highest teacher, that is a senior teacher with a 1.0. We do have teachers that make more, but they work extra periods for that. So that's just a 1.0 teacher. And the total cost is $132.20. That's projected for next year with an increase in health and welfare. Here's our property tax estimates. It shows actuals in the white bars. It shows the current projected in the blue and the orange are the future 3 years out. So this year, we went into the year projecting a potential reduction in the increase. So we were increasing it just under 4%, 3.8 something. And it came in higher. We had a $22 million property sale. That's ongoing revenue. It bumped our property taxes much higher. So that in turn changed the out year projection. We kind of went over this at the interim. So our out years are at about a 5.23. I do some leveling and some averaging. There are some one-time money anomalies in all of these numbers. So it's simplified here, but I have it more in a complex, secured, unsecured, homeowners exemption, et cetera. So we're still outpacing COLA. We have always outpaced COLA. Our unrestricted staffing, this is the 21-22 projected staffing. This is only the unrestricted general fund. So what you're not going to see on this is special ed, our maintenance folks, after school program, anything paid out of categorical money. This kind of gives you a visual at each school of the staffing by full-time equivalents in all of these categories. And the district offices at the bottom left. Cost of living increases. This is kind of like a 10-year look back. There are some nuances that happen in these comparisons. Some years there's off schedule adjustments. Some years the COLA is less because the benefits were higher. In 18-19, certificated and classified received different cost of living adjustments. 19-20, they received a zero cost of living adjustment. However, all employees that were here at the time of the Thomas fire did receive a $5,000 bonus off schedule. It shows kind of the average COLA for certificated, the average COLA for classified. So it's about 2%, 2.5%. Another important slide is kind of it's like a 10-year look back on health and welfare. You can see that there were some pretty significant rate increases over the years, especially in 12-13. In all of these increases, there are lots of different nuances also. In 15-16, in order to keep the premium down to not a double digit, it went from a 90% funded plan, employee benefit plan to an 80% employee benefit plan. And that's what kept that increase down below 2%. We had high months, high years, we had low years. We've got lucky over the past 3 years, especially in the current year with a negative increase of a 0.06. I mean, you can see it didn't change much. The health and welfare changed by, $4. The average is under 1%. Now, and then the cost of the current year is 2166. I'm going to get into this when I do some assumptions. There is a lot of big question marks over what the effect of the coronavirus will have on our premiums moving forward. We know that the cost of hospital patients and treatment and testing is not going to be free. There's a lot of federal funding that's been thrown at it, but at some point we probably will see an impact to our benefit rates. This is another look at the pension increases that I talked about before. This puts it in dollars, and it kind of shows you a 6-year average in the blue on the right. So since 13-14, it's gone up 196% for STRS and 117 for PERS. So a little bit of an interesting, just a side note, you can see the trajectory of the dollars. They're quite significant, but you have to understand that our PERS contributions are on a much lower salary base on the classified staff. So it's not necessarily proportionate on the number of the total salaries charged to the rate. It's just the percentage of salary. 5-year financial with the current year unrestricted. This is going just through the first interim. This isn't going into out years. And you can see that the unrestricted general fund has had a rough couple of years. In 16, 17, it was positive. We had some one-time money coming in. The one-time money stopped coming in 17, 18, 18, 19. So you can see that in 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20, the district made significant budget reductions in order to manage that deficit, which is the orange bar towards the bottom. In 1920, we ended our year in a surplus, and I talked about this when we brought this to the board. That surplus is a result of sweeping unspent money due to school closures. So we're in 2021, we're planning 21, 22, but the pandemic happened in 1920. And building this budget, I felt like a schizophrenic. I had no idea what year I was in. I had to like calendar myself because I had lost track of time. But we have been able to, even in the first interim, realize some budget savings and the fact that we have been closed. We don't have costs happening to the extent that we would if we were open K-12, full student body, full athletics, everything moving. That's not a good thing, but it has afforded us to put money into our fund balance and build that reserve up a little bit. And then when we look at the total general fund, it just adds some of the restricted fund balance into the picture and some of the deficits. So on the restricted side, for some of the new board members, you spend your fund balance with a deficit. You don't rebudget revenue and expense. So a lot of programs in the restricted side will be funded for multiple years. The money comes in 1 year and you spend it over 4 or 5, but you spend it as a deficit to the fund balance. So you don't, it looks like a deficit, but it really is spending those dollars. The restricted side has to be self-balancing. So these are kind of some of my favorite illustrations of how our money comes in, how our money goes out. This is all based on first interim. 81% of our total general fund budget is property taxes. It says state aid and property taxes because we get this much state aid and that much property tax. And then 9% federal revenue. All of that federal revenue is restricted. 6% state revenue, most of it's restricted with the exception of lottery and a few small pockets of block grant. And then the local revenue at 4% is mostly restricted with some of it in the unrestricted for the rents that we receive and interest that we receive. And then our expenditures are a different picture. This is the total general fund. 81% of the total general fund is salaries and benefits, people. 7% books and supplies, 10% services and operating, capital outlay. The SELPA tuition and bus leases are $200,000, and then the transfers out, that's our for deferred maintenance, that's out of restricted, that's $100,000. Now, when you look at this, and it's not in this form now, but when you look at this pie chart on the unrestricted only, unrestricted salary and benefits are 86% of the unrestricted revenue. So when you add special ed, restricted maintenance account, after school program, and everything funded on the restricted side, it brings it down because the revenue base is a little bit higher. And then this is one I like because it really shows you the categories that we are investing our money in. These are categories called functions. And there is a slide that explains this. But the biggest blue pie chart is 57%. That's direct student hands-on instruction, classroom teachers, classroom aides. The 9% of instruction related, that is staff development, library media tech, and school admin. And then pupil services are our school psychologists, our attendance office, health services, speech, language, and transportation. And so when you look at, and then you have after school program is just over 1%, and then athletics is just slightly under 1%. When you add all of those together, we have 78% of our budget directly serving students. And that's a big point to make, because when you carve out that 11% for plant services, that is our maintenance, our custodians, our utilities, all of the internet, all the things that run the district. The 9% left over is our property and liability, our payroll, our finance, our accounting. we really are skinny in running this district, and we are really heavily invested in teaching our kids. And this is, I think, the most important piece to show how we're meeting those district goals at the very beginning of the presentation. This is just a little key to show you what's in the different colors. And then special ed, let's talk about that for just a minute. Special ed is compulsory. It is mandated by law. It is not funded. You can see the revenues, and I'm going to explain a little bit of the revenues. When you see 18-19 go dramatically up to 500,000, so did the expenditures go up. They changed their accounting methodology, and it's instead of a net entry, they make it a gross entry, book revenue, book expense, where before they would book just the difference in the net. So it really didn't change the picture, it just changed the way we see it. But we've been pretty consistent at about 70% of the general fund paying for special education. That's about average statewide. I will say that some districts' contribution is over 80%. Special ed funding was never intended to fully run this program. This is kind of one of those things. These are our kids. We're obligated to teach them, to help them and provide them services. While they separate it, technically in our budget, it really needs to be inclusive in the big picture because it's no different than compulsory education, really. All right. I just froze again. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. So let's talk about 21-22. So our goal is to have a positive certification for the current and 2 subsequent years. That's not just the goal, that's ed code. So we start with the first interim unrestricted versus all unrestricted in the assumptions right now. I've pulled out all the restricted stuff. First interim revenue, we have an increase in property taxes of 1.294. We've reduced our lottery. Lottery is going to be funded on annual ADA. As our ADA inches downward, so will this amount of money. We reduce our Baylor property rent income since we are selling the property. Next year, they'll be vacating the property as we close those transactions. We do lower our interest because our cash balances are lower. Our revenue may be going up, but the cash is not. So, all right, I'll give you an example. It is February 2021, and we still have not received all of our federal revenue from the year-end close of 1920. We have most of our federal IDEA sped money has still not been paid. They have just now paid us for 18-19. So it's booked as an accrual, but there's no cash in the bank. So that's a reason why we have a TRAN. We increase our sped contribution annually based on step and column, contractual increases. Some of this is being built back in as we did have some students that were either in non-public schools or in private placements who are at home and most likely have the potential to come back to school next year. Granted, we'll be back in person and everyone will be where they need to be physically. So our net change in revenues is 957,381. That should have been black. It's not red. For a total unrestricted revenue of 22.7 million with an increase of 4.39% over prior year. Our budget drivers, these are all affecting the expenditure side. Our step and column increases, that's for classified and certificated, that's for all employees. Teachers go up a different, they go up units and they go up years. Classified just go up years. This is the cost of that contractual increase every year, 181,000. I'm projecting a 5% health and welfare increase. I took a dart at that one. It could be 5%, it could be 12%, it could be 1%. I have no idea. I just thought I'd average it. Pension rates for next year, CalSTRS is going down to 0.23 based from prior year, and PERS is going up 2.3. Estimating a 5% cost of utility increases, which is about average what it goes up each year. Property and liability is going to go up a little higher than normal years due to the coronavirus also. And then This is where it was kind of tricky because we did a lot of scaling back as we started to close schools in 1920. This is to restore our site and program budgets to pre-COVID allocations, assuming we're fully back in September. So our budget drivers are just under $1,950,000. And then as a side on the bottom left, cost of a 1% salary, cost of living adjustment, $190,000. That is not built in here. That all is pending negotiations. And then we have what we call program improvements, things we're adding to the budget that are not contractual drivers or statutory drivers, but things that we're adding back in for program improvement. We have a 0.6 social study at the high school. We're making it a 1.0 next year, proposing to make it 1.0. We're adding a 1.0 FTE teacher at the middle school, halftime PE, halftime science. We're adding a TK classroom at Aliso, a 6-hour EL8 at the middle school. And then the next three, 5, 6, and 8. 7 was the 2 custodians, but I combined them. So technically it's 6, 7, 8. Those are all coming out of the CARES money. We paid for them this year out of the federal funding through the Coronavirus Relief Fund. So that's the nurse at 1.0, 2 custodians, and we've increased our gate from 0.5 to 0.8, so it's a 0.3 increase. So these improvements are $483,111. And then we have just a couple budget reductions. We had a counselor who was on medical leave all last year, so we had 2 positions in full pay. We're eliminating the second full paid position, so we have just 1 now. And then we had a teacher on special assignment that was hired as a roving sub for COVID leaves. That's being removed from next year also for a reduction of $185,581. So we put it all together. Our 2021 first interim expenditures were 21.1. We add our budget drivers, our program improvements, our reductions for an increase in expenditures of 1.2 for total expenditures of 22.3, which is a 5.9 increase over prior year. We put all of that together with the beginning, with the projected ending balance at first interim. This is all unrestricted. We add the revenue, we add the expense, and we're looking at a projected increase in fund balance of 405 for an ending balance of 2.958. The projected reserve for next year is 9.4. And then the last slide is our multi-year projection. Our first interim was at 7.93. We're projecting next year under the current assumptions at 9.4. You go into the out years, you bring in property tax projections, step and column, all those budget drivers are considered in those future years, and it increases our reserves to 13.3 and 20.1. I'm sure that some of you are going, what the hey, that is bigger than we've ever seen since I've been here. But what happened, as I explained, we were able to increase those reserves with a lot of the one-time savings of not being open physically in school. That's not a good way to do it. Nonetheless, it did help those reserves build up. As well as we begin to see this year and in the future years, the incoming property tax higher than the increased costs of our drivers. So that starts to level out, and those property taxes are increasing by about 2/3 higher than just the drivers. So you see it starting to build. Which really makes a healthier budget than we've had in many, many years. So that is the last slide. Whew.
Good job.
Great. Thank you, Maureen. Does anybody have any questions on this? It's a lot to take in, but you always do a great job. So
I try not to go too fast, and I try not to go, I don't know. If you have any questions, I'll leave this up for just a minute.
Yeah, I have a question. On the budget, so the revenue, on the driver page, we've got that the nurse, the custodians, and the increase to the gate instruction, and that's coming from 2021 revenue, right?
Those are in place right now, and they're being paid by federal revenue that came in through the coronavirus relief fund.
Yeah. So how are we carrying that forward on the balance sheet?
So moving into 21-22, that money has been spent. We're bringing it into the unrestricted general fund budget.
We are, okay.
So that's what this is doing. It's adding them into the regular unrestricted budget.
But where does it show on our revenues? It's still,
there's no revenue to support it.
There's no revenue to support it. Okay, all right. So it's
Which
coming out of you're basically doing a transfer from unrestricted to the general fund, or from restricted to general fund to cover that.
Well, they're gonna stay in the they're gonna move from restricted expense to unrestricted expense with no incoming revenue to support it.
Okay.
So it'd be like adding brand new positions.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll still need all those positions post-COVID. I'm sure we'll need it for a year or so, but long-term, will we need them?
I will tell you that we're not gonna, whether we come back to school or not in the spring or the fall, our need to clean, track, and still have COVID in our life is not going to end next year. So you know, we are, I would anticipate that for the next coming couple of years, it's going to be essential that they stay.
So currently before COVID, we had a part-time nurse, and her time was consumed by preschool and special education. So really our general ed population was not served by any school nurse. So we really needed a full-time nurse, and it's proven, I mean, we definitely needed one for COVID, but we're gonna need a full-time nurse to continue to serve the general ed population from TK to 12. The custodians, we need more custodian support between Aliso and Summerlin, because we were sharing, and Summerlin with the new building is going to need its own custodian. And then between, for the custodians when they're out, it was really difficult to find sub-custodians. And we have now a much more sophisticated cleaning system that we train all the custodians in, and we need to continue that. As we have newer buildings, we need to maintain all of our new facilities. So we definitely need that support. And then the gate increase, it's really not about gate. She is a gate teacher, but her 0.30 increase is to serve ELL students. And this is directly related to our goal of equity, in that we have too many elementary students that are not redesignated as proficient English speakers. And they cannot go to middle school and high school with being limited English learners if they start in our district at 5 and 6. They've been in our district for 6 years, and then they're moving on to middle school and high school as limited English speakers. That's not acceptable. So she's providing the additional support with the ELL program at the elementary level, and specifically focusing on science and engineering and math vocabulary. So she's providing that support to the ELL students, and that needs to continue. And then for the additional positions that we're adding back that TK position in Aliso. We had it before COVID, and during COVID, we did not have enough TK students that registered this year because parents kept them home. But next year, we are predicting that we'll have, the enrollment will come back. So we'll be watching that. The CMS position, it's allowing that 0.5 science is allowing us to provide a CTE pathway in culinary. You'll recall before COVID, we had an on your own program, which we do not have any longer. And now we're replacing that with a culinary pathway that leads to the high school culinary program. So we're going to have 2 CTE pathways at the middle school next year, robotics and culinary. And then our PE classes, before COVID, we had 2.5 PE teachers, but during COVID, we reduced that. And now, because we have a number of students that are on independent study, but now when we go back to full-time next fall, we'll need that additional PE person. So we're going to be more successful hiring a full-time person that can do PE and science than just 2 half-time positions. And then the last is, again, to support our ELL students. For those students that continue at the middle school ELL, they cannot leave the middle school without being redesignated, because you will not be successful if you continue as an ELL student in high school. So the ELD teacher needs additional support for her students. So that's why we're making the recommendation for that new position.
Well, thank you for that. Is there any other questions from the board?
Well, the one thing that did stand out to me was the 86% of our unrestricted budget is salary and benefits. That's I would guess, just based on prior years and discussions, that's high in comparison to other districts throughout the state, right, Maureen?
It is. I'd say it's on the. I'd say it's around the average right now. I mean, I could remember, and this is going to date me in this business, but you know, it used to be if you got above 65%, you were out of whack. The norm now is around 85%. So we're not really outside the average. Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was closer to 80.
No, in fact, I know a lot of districts are closing in on 89%, and it's getting harder and harder with LCFF to even get that down. So, you know, it seems high, but that's kind of the new normal.
Okay.
And I noticed that obviously it doesn't include the COLA that's still in negotiation, and that last year we didn't increase COLA, correct?
No, we didn't increase COLA last year.
So we could probably expect to this year, or we don't know.
We'll probably start negotiating once we're back.
Okay. All right, any other comments? And there's no action need on this one, correct?
No.
Great. All right, we're gonna move on to measure H1. We are asked to approve the contract with Kruger, Benson, Ziemer Architects for assistance with selection, ordering of office furniture for LISO modernization phase 3. The estimated fee is based on actual time spent in hourly rate of $125 to $200, not to exceed $28,600. And these are being paid for by Measure U funds. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, H2, we are being asked to approve the contract again with Kruger, Benson, Ziemer Architects for assistance with selection and ordering of office furniture for the Carpentry High School's new administration building. The estimated fee is based on actual time spent billing at an hourly rate. Did I just do that one?
It's a different site.
Oh God, it sounds the same. Sorry, questioning myself. An hourly rate of $125 to $200, not to exceed $32,400, and the fee is being paid for by Measure U funds. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. For H3, we are being asked to approve the completed contract for the campus modernization phase 2 at Aliso Elementary School. The completed construction contract in the amount of $2,984,802.32 will be paid for with Measure U funds. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Thank you. Okay. I1 personnel summary. We're being asked to approve the attached recommended personnel items. We have 4 assignments, 1 resignation, and 2 leave of absences. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. All right. Oh, we're already to board announcements. Do we have anything that the board like to make a comment on related to board items?
Next Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, but the next Wednesday is the only food bank for the month here in Carpinteria. So if anybody needs those services, they are available. And if you're struggling in between, please contact the Carpinteria Children's Project. I'd also like to encourage the high school students and even maybe some of the middle schooler families to look up in the Parent Square. There was an email sent out yesterday about the pathway to SBCC and the promise, the college promise that they did. And it's a great opportunity for students to understand what the program is and families to understand what the program is. Tonight was the Spanish night, but tomorrow night is the English night. And that's just a really great opportunity that I would encourage families to take advantage of.
Thank you, Jamie. Anybody else?
Jamie, I have an item from Santa Barbara County Public Health. On this Thursday night at 6 o'clock, there'll be a virtual town hall for the COVID-19 vaccine. So if you're interested in the vaccination information, you can log on to Santa Barbara County Public Health website and they'll provide the Zoom link. It's also in our Parent Square and it will be bilingual.
Okay, then that reminded me, we're meeting with SCA, the Summerlin Association tomorrow, correct?
Yes, tomorrow at 7.
Property. Or not, sorry, not the Whitney property, the Summerlin School property. Okay, anything else? Great, board calendar, do we have any future agenda items we need to add?
We'll continue with budget development.
Budget again, okay. Anything else? Okay, and a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jamie.
Bye. Thank you.
Good job. Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Take care.